Good morning and welcome to this joint podcast in the weekend podcast of Gana Short and Chakra News. At the outset, a very happy Independence Day to all Indians. And we are all proud to be Indian. That's the first part. The second part is we're going to discuss the three musketeers of Mecca and what next. And to discuss this, I have with me Sandeep Unnithan, as usual on our weekend podcast. Sandeep, happy Independence Day and welcome.
Happy Independence Day, General Shankar. Welcome to all our viewers who are watching this joint podcast between Gunners Short and Chakra News. What a day to speak. 80th Independence Day. We just heard the Prime Minister from the ramparts of the Red Fort deliver his address to the nation. Lots of interesting things there, which we will unpack actually at the end of the session, as General Shankar has promised. But I think first we'll go on to that very significant declaration at Mecca just about a week and 1 day ago, which is the Mecca Joint Defence Agreement between Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. The three musketeers, as General Shankar calls them. What next is what we want to know today, from General Shankar. We have, of course, our theories on where this is going, and we're going to unpack this. General Shankar, over to you. What next after this historic agreement?
Yeah. Thanks a lot. It's a historic agreement in many manner. So, I was thinking, why did I get this, idea of the three musketeers?
Right.
And, I tried picturizing it and this picture came out. Well, that's how it is. So what's next, right? So what next is, of course, the normal logic of three musketeers is all for one and one for all. Okay. But then I thought it could all be all for none and none for all also. Okay.
Right.
All right. And there are good reasons for this. And, the first reason is, the fundamental reason is the respective foes of the new pact are not mutual foes.
Yeah.
Who is the foe? That's the fundamental problem of this pact. And
right.
this
when you compare it with the Warsaw Pact, NATO, and you have one adversary. You're very clear. This guy is the enemy.
You have one adversary or a set of adversaries.
Yeah.
Okay. Here there's no adversary. Who's the foe? And mind you, interestingly, this question is not something which came to all our minds, but the way this has been framed comes from a Pakistani.
Right.
Right. A Pakistani.
Someone we know, a Pakistani, a famous Pakistani.
Yeah, he's. I think it's Zahid Hussain in the Dawn who's come up with this. Okay. And in one of his editorials, who's the foe? Mutual foe. There's no mutual foe. I think it's Zahid Hussain. I'm forgetting the thing, but let me see if I can get who it is. But then that's a different story, But okay, that's one. And let me put something in the historical context also, because I think we need to discuss this in that context. You see, one is, of course, who's the foe. The second thing, what is so new about this? Let's put it. 1964, there was a regional cooperation for development.
Yeah.
It was, coined between Iran, Turkey, and Pakistan. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, then, Pakistan and Turkey were part of the 14-member Islamic military counterterrorism coalition, which is still existent.
Yeah.
In 2015, 11 years back, you came. Well, the first one didn't succeed. It's still alive. Mind you, it's not dead. It's not that treaty is not revoked. The second one is still alive.
Yeah.
So, and now what has the current pact done is you replaced Iran with Saudi Arabia between Turkey and Pakistan.
Right.
This is the interesting thing, right? And the IMCTC, where Turkey and Pakistan are still part of the thing, and it's a wider council with other members as part of this coalition. What has that achieved? what are these two achieved, and what is it special that this is going to achieve? Are the two things which actually struck my mind, about this pact.
Right.
For you had two formulations earlier. What is this going to do for whom? And that's what I thought we could discuss, of course. So these are my opening views about this pact. And so over to you, your views. Let me hear. Let's hear you.
You're spot on, Jan Shankar. What you said is that who's the foe? Who's it against? Because, like you said, see, Turkey's adversaries are the Kurdish groups. There you have it. So, Turkey's are the Kurdish groups. They're looking at Israel as well. Pakistan's primary focus is India, as always. They're obsessed with it. Saudi Arabia has got Iran to the north and the Houthis to the south. And of course, UAE, which is the new axis. And in fact, one of the reasons that Egypt is not able to enter this, they were talking of a quad, was because Saudi Arabia said, hey, the Egyptians are too close to UAE. And there's no way that they're going to allow the UAE to kind of come in what form, or either UAE or their allies. So it's a very disparate set of adversaries that each of them face. And for instance, Saudi Arabia's adversary is Iran, right? But Iran is not Pakistan's adversary. India is Pakistan's adversary, but India is not Saudi Arabia's adversary. India and Saudi Arabia got excellent ties. We've got a very large trade,
Yeah.
business thing going on, and oil, of course, is the fundamental thing. But there's very good G2G connect between India and Saudi Arabia, and likewise for Turkey. I mean, Turkey may oppose us at various councils, but will they enter into a conflict on behalf of Pakistan, other than supporting them diplomatically, of course, which they've done in the past? And you know what, when I ask a lot of my friends I was talking to, they say, oh, this is an Islamic NATO against India. Then I say that, look, this has always been there in some form or the other. Saudi Arabia and Turkey have been supporting Pakistan against India. Pakistan's submarine, the PNS Ghazi, was actually refitted in, I think, Golchuk shipyard in Turkey before the 1971 war. There's been a lot of exchange of men and material between Turkey and Pakistan. Saudi Arabia has been a big funder of Pakistan's nuclear program, if you read all the accounts of it that have been published so far. So this axis has been there in some form or the other, and that RCP which you mentioned, that's also been there since the 60s. But that was more, I think it was more of a peace and development. It was economic rather than the military underpinnings of what you're seeing here. And I think here there's a very determined focus on the military aspect, which is the Joint Defence Agreement. That's what they're talking of, But my sense is that it is Saudi Arabia that's trying to drive this kind of thing, right? Because it is Saudi Arabia which has been, if you look at the current West Asia conflict, it's Saudi Arabia that's been hammered from all sides. The Americans who were there from 1979, this whole wall of bases that they had built, a dozen bases, all the way from the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean and Arabian Sea, it was meant to protect the GCC, especially the Saudi Arabian part of it, and they have not been able to protect their own bases, let alone protect Saudi Arabia. And in the south, the Saudis have not been able to prevail over the Houthis.
Yeah.
So, Iran has got this whole Saudi Arabian calculus into a tizzy. And then, of course, there is the UAE as well, which there's a Cold War going on between the UAE and Saudi Arabia. But I think the primary focus is Iran. And I think Saudi Arabia is trying to get both these countries in to kind of make this axis against, and they're looking at an insurance kind of thing, a plan B. What if the Americans, quickly withdraw? Or they say there is an agreement between the Iranians and the US, where the US decides to pack up its bases and leave. Then who fills the void? So I think there is a lot of, imponderables over there, which is why MBS has done what he has. But, I have two quick questions for you, Jan Shankar. One is, of course, we'll come to the China angle in this. But my immediate thing is that in an Op Sindoor kind of thing, this is a question that a lot of people are asking, if there is another Op Sindoor, for instance, Pakistan is once again hit. Will Turkey and Saudi Arabia be able to pressurize India in a way that would prevent us from, retaliation or something. If you just go by the timeline of previous atrocities, and the flashpoint is always going to be a high visuality, high casualty terror strike that Pakistani terrorists will carry out. India will retaliate militarily, as the Prime Minister said last year, that they will, all action like this would be responded to militarily. What will be the role of Saudi Arabia and Turkey in such a conflict?
Okay, let's examine what happened in Op Sindoor, because that gives you the answer,
Right.
right? When Op Sindoor happened, it was very clear that Turkey helped Pakistan
Yeah, with advisors, drones. Right.
drones. So what more can they do?
Will they, for instance, rush the Turkish Air Force? I'm just looking at, if they
No,
rush a couple
I
of
mean,
squadrons.
uh, right. So we'll come to that. You think Turkey can do that, right? Why? After Op Sindoor, before Op Sindoor, the Turkey-India trade was
Yeah.
topping 10 billion.
Yes.
It's now come down to about 7 billion, or 6.5 to 7 billion.
And tourist
So,
traffic has also dropped. It was a quarter of
oh,
a million. Yeah.
lot. Okay. And that might drop even more.
Yeah.
So, for a country like Turkey, will it serve their interests?
What is the price they're willing to pay for this? That's what you're
Yeah,
asking.
but why? See,
In dollar terms.
fundamentally, that the Turks, everyone has self-interest in this.
Yes.
So, does Turkey's self-interest amount, or rather, will it force them to send their aircraft to India
Hmm.
and undertake a war where they might lose people?
Right. They might
They
lose
might lose
machines, they
people,
might lose pilots, they might
both,
lose
everything,
hardware.
right? So there's a fundamental economic angle to this.
Right.
Then the second thing is, Turkey is part of NATO.
Yeah.
You think Turkey will break those NATO things and risk a war another 3,000, 4,000 kilometers to its east? The repercussions are huge for Turkey to take a war against the war on take up a war on behalf of Pakistan.
Right.
Okay, so virtually that is out of the equation. Now let's look at Saudi Arabia. Now the point is that Saudi Arabia, well, our prime minister was in Saudi Arabia when this incident Pahalgam happened.
Yes,
If you remember,
exactly. When the Pahalgam massacre happened.
he
Absolutely.
just told that chap, "Thank you, I'm going," and he came, and within 2 weeks you had Op Sindoor.
Yes.
Okay. And Saudi Arabia couldn't do anything, right? The only thing is, we know there's a fact that Saudi Arabia did come and speak on behalf of Pakistan
Right.
with India during the course of the thing. A lot of telephone lines were burnt. There's no doubt on that.
Yeah.
But did they stop? They stop? They couldn't, right? Also, now let me. Everyone says Saudi Arabia can, shut off your oil X, Y, Z.
Hmm.
There's a trade of $43 billion between Saudi Arabia and India.
Yeah.
Of course, largely, oil from there.
Right.
But think of a case where tomorrow Saudi Arabia doesn't get that trade. What happens to the Saudi pocket?
Right.
Yes. And if that is, just think, if this goes through, I'll take it to a logical conclusion. And today, Saudi Arabia becomes our enemy to
Hmm.
the extent that Saudi Arabia will put pressure on India. That's the
Yeah.
max it
Yeah.
can do. So it would be wise on our part to increase our input of oil from Venezuela and UAE and things like that.
Diversify
So
our oil thing.
yeah, we will diversify and make sure that we increase our reserves and all that, so that if
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia misbehaves or takes a extreme stance, no go. And what about Saudi Arabian investments into India? They're also looking to diversify. They'll definitely not diversify in Pakistan. They have to
Yeah.
diversify in India, not anywhere else.
Yeah.
So, where does that leave Saudi Arabia in India Pakistan scenario? It doesn't leave them anywhere. So, that question that Saudi Arabia or Turkey, can in any way interfere in a India-Pakistan situation
Right.
is goes out of the window in the first shot.
Right.
Whether, yeah, diplomatically, Saudi Arabia would have some leverage to speak to India because of
Right.
links. And how do you explain our, NSA who went twice to Saudi Arabia in 2 months? So there is a dynamic which we are not factoring in this whole story. Now, let me give you an alternate explanation of this whole pact, the rationale of this pact. This is my view, okay,
Yeah.
which I have not spoken anywhere so far, but after about a week of thinking, this is what I come out. There are few sobriquets going around. The
Right.
first sobriquet is Turkey is popularly known as the sick man of Europe.
Yes.
Okay, the Pakistan is known as the sick man of South Asia.
Right.
It's a
Yes.
fact. This is there.
Yeah.
You click it in, you will get Pakistan out.
Yeah.
And I key a new sobriquet of Saudi Arabia being the slick man of West Asia.
A slick man of West Asia. Okay.
West Asia. Okay. Right. Now the point is each of them are on a Erdogan is on a slippery slope.
Yeah.
He needs this alliance to prop him up because he's got tremendous problems. He's rigged his elections, everything.
Yeah.
And his economy is not doing well at all. He's a beggar. He's Pakistan ka bhai hai. Like someone, okay. I mean, let's face facts. That's what he is. And he's got problems in the Kurdish problem.
Right.
He's not comfortable with the dispensation in Syria, and he's got problems with Iran also. If he acts tough, these three are his
Yeah.
borders. Okay,
Right.
and everyone wants to avoid Turkey in the pipeline story. So Turkey has its. We think about Pakistan. We are Pakistan centric. Look at Turkey and its problems. Can Pakistan bail out Turkey in any of this? Zero. Zero. And the same thing for Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia can give it some money, but I'll come to
Mhm.
Saudi Arabia. So Turkey is virtually that's why I said it's a sick man of Europe. It wants
Right.
to get into Europe. No one in Europe wants it. They say, okay, you be our NATO partner and nothing more. Even that NATO partner story is fraying because Turkey was admitted into NATO during the Cold War, right? And it was the southern flank of the
Yeah.
Russian
Or the
Empire,
Soviet Union. Yes, of
Soviet
course.
Union, and all that.
They
That's
had
gone.
deployed Jupiter missiles there. A lot of people don't know
Yeah.
this. The NATO
Then,
had deployed Jupiter nuclear tipped missiles, which is why you had Khrushchev deploying missiles in Cuba. And the quid pro quo for withdrawing from
yes,
Cuba was
yes,
that
it was
NATO
Turkey.
will do its, yeah,
Now,
missiles.
if you see this, take this rational, carry this rational forward. Why is this Ukraine war taking place? NATO wants to deploy missiles in Ukraine,
Yes,
southern Delhi of
Russia.
Russia, and Turkey has lost its value. Actually,
Right,
Turkey has lost its value, military value to NATO. But NATO being NATO, they don't want to throw anyone out. So that is why Turkey has started looking east. It's got no choice. Okay, so that is where it is. Turkey. Now let's look at Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia for everything, two things are very clear. One
yeah,
is oil has a finite timeline
yeah,
in terms of the fortunes of all these Gulf countries. As alternate energies are coming in, and in fact today our Prime Minister also spoke about
yeah.
urja through the
100,
solar route.
100 gigawatts of alternate
Yeah,
energies targeting, yeah,
nuclear, and he's talking. So
yeah,
energy,
diversifying, yeah,
yeah, it needs diversification. Okay, uh, so Saudi Arabia is not very. I mean, it's looking for diversification, and plus the fact that Neom city, which
yeah.
MBS started, is facing
It's building
huge
on
problems.
a Red Sea. Yeah, it's actually a black hole. It's just
Black
guzzling
hole.
a lot of resources. It's not
So
being
that's why
able
I
to.
said Instead of saying the sick man, I've said slick man.
Slick man of
It's on us,
West Asia.
West Asia. So it doesn't have the kind of depth in financial depth which it had probably
Yeah,
10 years back
yeah,
or 15 years back. It didn't have, doesn't have. It doesn't have, right? That it will contribute generously to
yeah.
Pakistan or Turkey, it's not there. So Pakistan doesn't get anything. Now, let's look at the third angle. What can Pakistan do for Saudi Arabia? So it needs some protection. It needs
Right.
some protection. Uh, right? It needs protection. And I'll come to a very interesting theory which I heard today. Now, let's look at Pakistan. What does Pakistan do? What Pakistan, we know where it is. It's a sick man. It
Yeah.
needs money, and it can help no one, and it will not help anyone. It will not help anyone, because the moment they see Houthis have attacked after this pact. After all, there has been a KSA Pakistan pact in operation for the past
Yeah.
7 months,
Yes.
right? Now, Houthis have violated that pact many times. They post a
Pakistan has
threat
not
to
done anything. Yes. They never come
nothing
to.
except say, oh, we stand in solidarity with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just adding Turkey into this mix, how does it change? It doesn't change anything. I don't visualize Pakistan sending aircraft to Turkey to help the Turks against the Greeks.
Right.
Okay, now I've spoken about the Greeks. The Greeks have stationed some patriots in Saudi Arabia
Right.
as part of the American arrangement and all that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? For protecting Saudi Arabia. So you think Saudi Arabia will go and fight with Turkey against Greeks? See,
Right.
we are looking at this pact from our viewpoint.
Yeah.
We should look at it from others' viewpoints, and then you'll get to know where this is. There,
So
there's a third
this.
very
Yeah.
interesting thing. You must hear this. Very, very interesting formulation I heard. He says, "Look, this is a Saudi requirement. The reason is this." He says Saudi Arabia's money is resident in USA.
Yeah.
Okay, so tomorrow if Saudi Arabia talks tough or something like that,
Hmm.
USA might just say, take over that money, and whatever it does, whatever it did with Russia, it can do to
Russia. We'll lock out the Saudis from their money and yeah.
money and SWIFT payments gone and all. Where does it leave
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia? It leaves Saudi Arabia nowhere. It is exposed against USA. So this guy who did this analysis says that is why they've taken Turkey and Pakistan, because Pakistan and Turkey can threaten USA in ways
Right.
which others can't.
How
So
will they
these are,
threaten? How does
yeah,
Turkey
you
threaten?
just say whatever. There are many ways to threaten you. You
Right.
know it. Okay, these guys, and if they put their thing, after all, just look. Pakistan has just presented a $10 billion bill
Oh, the
to
bill. Yeah.
USA, and USA
Right.
is paying.
Yes.
USA will pay somehow or the other something, because it needs Pakistan. So that so Pakistan generates this kind of a story.
Yeah. It's a
It can
conflict
pose a
economy.
it's
Please.
no, it poses complex threats to USA,
Right.
and in doing so, the moment Saudi Arabia has Pakistan and Turkey by its side, USA doesn't misbehave.
Okay. This is a new one. I haven't heard of this
Yes,
theory.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a new one. So, right? So that's why I say the more you examine this pact from others'
Yes.
perspectives, you will not understand this pact is going nowhere.
Right.
If you look at the Turkish perspective, they say, no, no, we are not going to fight against Iran, Shiran, and anyone. We are not going to fight
Yeah.
with anyone. They
Yeah.
say this is more for production. Our things will be sold to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. This is not aimed at anyone. I think all the three, leaders from all three countries have come forward and said, no, no, this is not aimed at anyone. This is not
Correct.
aimed at anyone. It is not aimed at anyone. Then why even have
Why
this?
have you?
What's the point?
So
Why
that's
have
why I'm
it?
saying, no, no, this pact, whose interest it serves? It's not that this pact has got no value. It's got value.
Right.
I've
Right.
told you the Saudi Arabian value.
Yeah.
And what these people, Turkey and Pakistan, imagine, or rather their aspiration or interest is, they can sell their equipment and services to Saudi Arabia and get money.
Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Okay, let me give you the Pakistani angle. 2 days
Yeah.
back, one a guy from someone from Rawalpindi, probably I don't know if he'll come, if he'll figure today or not. He's a chap
Right.
called ABD. He came. He says, "Look, we want this pact because then we can get technology from Turkey, and we have people here, and we'll become
Right.
a power in the
But
next 30 years."
that's coming in any case. The Turkish technology has been coming even without a pact. So why do you need a pact to formalize this? Unless the pact says that Saudi Arabia will pay for it. You know? Yeah.
Paisa.
Paisa.
Paisa is Saudi's money.
Saudi paisa for
So,
Turkish technology into
huh,
Pakistan.
then into Pakistan. Then there's another interesting question which I heard or read today morning in
Yeah.
Dawn. In Dawn, okay,
Right.
is they say, look, if you want protection against India, because
Yeah.
see, Pakistan has a singular idea
Yeah. Yeah.
how
Of
to
course.
protect itself. Its existential problem is India, isn't
Yes.
it? So if you want protection against India, why are you going to the Turks and Saudis? Why don't you have a pact with China,
Yeah.
which has got common enmity with India? It
Right.
will give
Right.
you more value, and they did more for you during Opsindor rather than the other two. Why don't you have a pact with China?
Don't they have a pact already with the
They don't have a
Pakistanis?
defense pact.
They don't have a That's
They don't.
interesting. We never thought of that. Yeah.
They
Despite
don't have
all
a
this,
defense pact.
they
They
don't have
have
a defense pact,
CPs. They have CPEC.
which is an economic. I mean, that's like
Whatever.
an investment. That's a very
Ah,
large investment. 44 billion.
so, yeah. So the point is, they have not logically. If India is their existential problem,
Yeah.
and for China also, India is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
So China and Pakistan should enter into a pact. Why have they not entered?
That's interesting.
So
Why have they not entered
no,
in the
I mean,
pact?
if I were a Pakistani, I mean, if you were a Pakistani, would you
Yeah.
prefer a pact with China or would you prefer a pact with Saudi Arabia
I think it
against
has to do
India?
with the
And against
against.
India.
Maybe they understand that the Chinese will not enter into any future India-Pakistan conflict. They possibly fear that. Uh, China has never entered in Pakistan's favor in any conflict, even 71, which was the conflict where Pakistan was literally torn apart, was split into two. The Chinese never came. All the Chinese had to do was to move, mobilize their formations along the Himalayas, and India would have to, counter move as they feared, as Manekshaw, as Field Marshal Manekshaw feared that the Chinese would come down, and therefore he wanted large parts of the Eastern Command to focus there. And I think now we know, in after the declassifications, that the Soviet Union had deployed against the Chinese then. So they
And
basically
not only
lofted a
that,
lot of Chinese.
no,
Yeah,
not only that, we did that in December when the passes would close. We would
where
have
the
finished.
snow was, yes, absolutely.
So we marginalized.
Whatever.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
but what you're saying is right. The Chinese didn't even move.
they didn't. Yeah. They might give
They
them
didn't.
missiles, they might give them know-how, hardware, but to physically intervene on behalf of Pakistan, I don't think the Chinese will do that. And
Okay.
possibly
So
the
out,
Pakistanis know that.
yeah, yeah. And the next problem is Pakistan has a defense pact with China, then where does it leave them with USA?
Yes.
They are a non-NATO ally of USA, by.
Major non-NATO ally, absolutely.
So that has not gone. So he
Yeah,
doesn't get anything, and he is not happy with the Chinese stuff. No.
yeah,
See again, what did Bajwa say? That we
yeah,
wanted items from West, we wanted items from Germany, we wanted
yeah,
this thing. He said this in some lit fest or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And we didn't get, so we had no choice but to go to China,
China, yeah,
right? So he said that China is not our first preferred destination.
yes,
And this fellow has said after what happened in Opsundur,
yeah.
the major shift away from China has happened after Opsundur.
Hmm. Pakistan's shift away from China.
Shift away from China. He is
Yeah,
now going to Turkey and all this.
yeah,
It tells you a story, and the fact is that China has quit Baluchistan, Sandak mines, which they were there for
Yeah,
the past 10 years, they've quit.
that's right. Yeah. So I wrote a
So,
piece for India Today, General Shankar, on what you just mentioned. The fact is that I said every time Pakistan's geography is threatened, they go abroad. Immediately, the leader jumps on a plane and he's, globetrotting. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in January of 1972, a few weeks after the creation of Bangladesh, he was visiting Libya, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Beijing. He needed help. And that's how the beginning of the Pakistan nuclear weapons program is. And similarly here in Sindoor, because you threaten their geography by hitting across all the bases, all the dozen, Noor Khan, Chaklala, Rawalpindi, all those places were struck. That,
he's right.
he ran. So the Pak Air Force literally withdrew, towards their depth bases. So Munir then, and very interesting, Munir bought a long-range jet, a G600 jet, a second-hand jet, for his global travels. As G600 basically flies Islamabad to Washington unrefueled, 12,000 kilometers, a very long-range, the top-of-the-line private jet. He's bought that because he knew that he will have to travel a lot and get all these people in. So, like you said, this is basically they're looking for friends abroad, strategic depth. So, Pakistan is looking for strategic depth, and they're trying to look for it in Turkey, in Saudi Arabia. But when you said this, when you were describing the compulsions of these three countries, I was thinking of this is an alliance of Nokia, BlackBerry, and Motorola in 2026 to face iPhone, the iPhone threat.
You said it. You see, there's another major thing. Like I said, Turkey, why it's doing Erdogan's own political future is at stake.
Yeah,
Similarly, Saudi Arabia's political future is at stake. Today, more than anything, Pakistan's political future is at stake, and Asim Munir's political future is at stake. Unless he shows to his people that look, Saudi Arabia is behind me, Turkey is behind me, this Islamic countries will help me out, right?
yeah.
He cannot quell his internal problems. His internal problems are beyond him.
So that's an interesting theory. So you're saying that he is trying to bring in his external successes, so-called, if you can call them successes, and he's trying to translate that into some kind of internal legitimacy and popularity and survivability or whatever inside, because
He-
given the kind of internal problems that they have,
yes,
will it translate into that stability?
it will not, but he's got no other choice. Does he have a choice? Does he have a choice against Balochistan? Does he have a choice against KP or POK? He's got no choice because what he's playing out there is a military game with no political thing, and
That's right.
that's a completely political problem.
There are political
And
problems in both
uh,
provinces.
and he is now trying to solve it through that administrative measure of breaking Pakistan up into 20, 25, whatever the
My
number
God,
of
yeah,
provinces.
it's 24 provinces or more, 24 or
Whatever.
more
People are
provinces.
saying anything between 9 to 27. That's the figure I've
9 to
seen,
10.
and from Pakistanis.
Yeah,
So that's a major exercise for which he needs legitimacy and backing. Where will he get it
right,
from? He'll only get it from Saudi Arabia.
right.
I
When do
mean,
you
there's
think
no
this
other
move will be? The
place.
28th Amendment. It's the 27th Amendment.
Not
That
26th and 27th Amendment have been done.
Yeah,
28th is what is
28th.
jumping in.
He's planning to do the
Yeah.
28th, which is what they're moving in this year in
Yeah, and they're
2028.
going. He has to do it. Then he needs someone's backing to make him a president.
Right.
Someone's backing. He needs to ensure that Asif Ali Zardari and Nawaz Sharif are sidelined, and Mohsin Naqvi is made the prime minister.
That's the game you think.
That's the game.
Right.
I mean, that's
So
a
he
very clear
becomes,
game. It's
he's the
again.
executive president.
I am not saying this. Pakistanis are
Yeah.
saying this.
Pakistanis are saying,
Yeah.
yes, yes. We've been talking about this last couple of days.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
now
looking
the
at Prime Minister, this chap,
Mohsin Naqvi.
Mohsin Naqvi, Trophy Chor Naqvi, and Executive President, Field Marshal Asim Munir, Chief of Defence Staff, the Americans, will they allow them to be the President and the Chief of Defence Staff and
How
Field
can they?
Marshal?
How can he be stopped? Will will
Well,
will Trump stop him? Because you also have to understand that Trump himself is over a barrel.
right. Trump is in a very bad thing with the Iranians right now.
So this is so they find that this is the only way to think. And I'll yet give you another angle to this. For all you know, USA might be saying, please go ahead with this.
How does it help the US?
Yeah. See, today, whether we like it or not, the USA cannot get out of this place. We will not get out of this place. Will not be allowed to get out of this place. All three things. US presence in this area is guaranteed for a long, long time to
Yeah.
come. Okay. But this pact might well prompt the US to tell, look, you operate with Iran, you confront Iran through this pact, and then you let them. If it is beyond this pact, then I will come into the picture.
Hmm.
So actually, it gives depth to US approach to Iran.
You think the US was behind this pact, the Mecca pact? You think?
Definitely, otherwise this won't go through.
Right.
It has not come out, but I am sure that the US is very happy with this pact coming up, because now they are not primarily responsible for the defense of this area
West Asia.
and peace
Yeah.
and stability and all. So Trump or whoever is successor might say, hey, look, you have this pact, start off with that first, and I'll come in when I have to. Okay, for whatever you can say against Houthis, against whoever. So US gets a bit of a depth. It's not depth against India. It's not. We know US is very clear. It's against Iran. Even these three chaps are worried about Iran.
Iran. That's
They
right.
will not
So
play so.
Trump was in Turkey recently, and he was praising Erdogan and all of that. So you
Well,
see, this was the bargain.
There's a bargain. There's a bargain.
Right.
Okay, let's be very clear. So we should be clear in our mind that this pact is nothing against India. From a Pakistani perspective, it is against India. Fine, that I'll cede, because Pakistan has got a unifocal thing that against India. That's okay. But the pact as a whole, is not against. It's against Iran. Let's be very, very clear. And why Egypt has not come in? There's another fact people don't understand this. Egypt has not come in because originally it was thought that Egypt will be part of this pact.
It will be a quad, kind of an Islamic quad.
It didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because it will upset the Camp David agreement
Yeah.
between Israel and Egypt. Now, how did Egypt benefit from the Camp David agreement? Egypt benefited from the Camp David agreement economically because USA gave them economic carrots.
Yes.
See, in this Trump tariff regime, which he started, it has not affected Egypt. Egypt is out of the tariffs.
Yeah.
Completely. Not even that basic 10%, because this is part of that Camp David agreement.
Accords. Yeah.
Yeah. Camp David Accords guaranteed a certain amount of economic carrots to Egypt, and Egypt delivered. If today those and USA delivered those guarantees. So if that doesn't come, Egypt comes unstuck. Also, Egypt will not get into this because it is their survival, their economic survival also depends on this.
Yeah.
So they have not come in. Qatar has not come in. Why has Qatar not come in? Qatar says, if I get into this pact, tomorrow Saudi Arabia will eat me. I will become a province of Saudi Arabia, which Saudi Arabia has tried. It has tried and failed. And why did it fail? Because at that time Qatar went towards Iran. When Iran also pressurized it, it went to Turkey. Turkey has deployed a battalion in Qatar already.
Qatar. Yeah.
It is not now, for the past 5-6 years. Turkey a battalion is there because it counters US presence there. So there are, this jalebi.
Wheels within wheels. Yeah, jalebi. That's right. That's.
So you see that this pact is basically for West Asia, nothing against India. People, I mean, as Indians we will think so, but in my view, पाकिस्तान में सोच है कि against India है.
Right.
Pakistan is very clear that how to leverage all this against India. and of course legitimacy to Asim Munir for life.
Yeah, and
What
strategic depth. देखो,
depth
yeah, क्या हो गया if we lost all our bases? पिटाई हो गई हमारी. We have become
and
so we are indispensable ally to everybody in the
uh,
world. Yeah,
yeah. Now that you word use the use strategic depth, we also have to understand that Pakistan's great plan of strategic depth towards Afghanistan is
yeah.
done and dusted, and it is in a graveyard. They are
So it's
not
five.
strategic.
It's the fifth anniversary, incidentally, today, General Shankar, of the fall of Kabul, and that very
Kabul,
famous Faiz Hamid with that cup of tea. You
cup of
remember
tea
the
and
Sarina Hotel? और 5 साल
ठीक
में देखो क्या हो गया.
क्या हो गया? Now he is in a strategic squeeze.
Yeah,
That squeeze, okay, let look at it this way. Uh, Pakistan might get some guarantees against India, but what guarantees will Turkey and Saudi Arabia give against Afghanistan?
right.
Nothing. So he's lost strategic depth there. So he
Yeah,
has to go somewhere else to get some depth.
you're right. So he's been
Pakistan,
squeezed on his western border and on his eastern border.
yes,
So, and he has kind of
he
gone to
has no
another
choice.
direction. Yeah,
But he's got no choice. So I mean, uh, this is how this thing is, and that's how things are panning out for this Mecca pact.
right.
It's all
So what?
for none
Yeah,
and
yeah.
none for all.
All for none and none for all. That's a very interesting spin on the Three Musketeers motto. But it also reminds me that these Three Musketeers have got knives to a gunfight. Like they say, never bring a knife to a gunfight. So these
Uh,
musketeers are a little out of depth here if they think they can use these knives. But my question in the beginning was that where does this leave China in all of this? I mean, look at
yeah.
this. There's been war, conflict, missiles flying, deployments, idhar, udhar, agreement, Makkah agreement, and all. And from Beijing, there is just sannata. There is AK
हाँ,
Hangal kind of sannata. There's
ये क्या सन्नाटा है भाई?
इतना सन्नाटा क्यों है भाई? What's going through Xi Jinping?
See,
His mind.
there are two ways of looking at the Chinese thing. When I read the commentary from China about the KSA Pakistan pact,
Yeah.
they felt that's a damn good thing that we have good relations with Saudi Arabia
Saudi and
and
for Pakistan. We
and
supply arms
Pakistan.
to both.
Arms.
Yeah.
We can now no arms to Saudi Arabia was no go because USA will not allow it in a hurry. But
After the first batch of yeah.
uh, they felt that look with this will give us a opening through Pakistan to sell arms to
Yes, yes.
Saudi Arabia. And they were also very happy that we this will also help us go Pakistan from Pakistan to Iran. That was their initial commentary. But as they see Pakistan drifting towards the west, they
Yeah.
have cooled on Pakistan. They also see that look, we had great relations with Iran, we had great relations with Saudis, and we enabled a pact. That was
Yeah.
a time, not 3 years back. This pact was
In fact,
done, peace pact between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
right. Iran, Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Iran and Saudi, which was seen
Mediated
over
by
by
Beijing.
Xi
Yeah.
Jinping, and
Yeah.
everyone said this is the demise of USA and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But what has happened now is completely the reversal of that. Complete
Right.
reversal. So China will say, okay, let this whole thing settle down. I will now try and utilize this because China has equation with Turkey also. I will exploit it economically, if nothing else. Right? Economically, Pakistan के साथ क्या होगा कुछ नहीं होगा. Pakistan is a dead loss. But with Turkey and for thing, so China will be looking at the opening back into this
Right.
area,
Right.
and the opening will be given by Pakistan. That's the hope. Okay, that's the hope China will. But at this point of time, I think China is perplexed as to करना क्या है.
Right.
Again, you have to see China from its own thing. See what has happened in the past 6 months. You have seen absence of China from the
Hmm.
scene. Complete absence of China, right?
They're nowhere
Uh,
in West Asia. They just vacated the whole space.
they've vacated strategically vacated this area.
Yeah.
They Everyone says they have assisted Iran and all that. Uh, I don't think they have assisted Iran the way we have dreamt it. Yeah, they would
Yeah.
give some coordinates and space and all that,
Uh-huh.
some
Right.
parts and all, but nothing.
C4ISR, that kind of assistance.
That's it. It's not a overt help. It's not,
Right.
some covert help a little. And you have to also understand that they are probably worried about Pakistan's drift.
Right.
Right. They have
Drift back to
lost.
the United States. Yeah.
They've lost strategic space in West Asia. If someone says no, China is gaining out of this whole war, I don't agree. Day one, I said China will lose. Even now, I say China is losing. The second thing is what China is confronting a different paradigm in East Asia. See, their problem today is Japan, a resurgent Japan.
Yeah.
People don't understand this. People they yap. They see a resurgent Japan militarily.
Hmm.
A resurgent Japan is more problematic to them than anyone else. They see a intransigent North Korea. North Korea, which was supposed to be their pet dog, is now you know वो है ना अपना ही बिल्ली अपने के साथ वो समथिंग लाइक दैट इन हिंदी they say.
नहीं नहीं मेरी बिल्ली मुझी से म्याओ.
मुझे से meow.
Yeah.
North Korea has started doing that for the past 2 years. They have swung towards Putin, right?
Okay. Because he's
Okay,
given them a
then
lot of assistance, strategic.
yeah. There, but today, Kim Jong Un speaks a different language altogether.
Yeah, and
In
he's
fact, the
on a direct
Koreans,
dial with Putin.
Putin, and the start point was North Korea went into communications through Russian satellites, and they did Chinese satellites. This happened. That was the beginning.
Right.
So you see, China, North Korea is in a problem. Japan is militaristic. Taiwan is doing all the right noises to make itself into a porcupine, and they are overstretched in Philippines.
Hmm.
South China Sea, they are in a big problem. I mean, everyone says they've got made islands and this and that. What's happening in Scarborough Shoal? Look, China is troubling Philippines. Yes, I agree, but Philippines has not given up. The hybrid war or the gray zone war which China has fought against this entire all these nations in the South China Sea. If you look at it from one point of view, they're successful. On the other point of view, they are stretched by about 3,000 kilometers. They're stretched by 3,000 kilometers because the other edge of the South China Sea of the 10 dash lines lies along the Philippines coast.
Right.
So they are in a now. What does China do in all this?
Right.
Right, their economy is in a mess. It's a huge mess. Okay, I mean, people who don't understand China, well, they'll say, no, economy is export dependent. Yes, it is only export dependent. China is a one trick pony. So, and it is trying its hardest and most thing to woo India. There's a kit pit going on between India and China.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why I'm taking all this while for China is people don't understand what's happening in China. That is why I'm talking. So, this much. And so, overall, if you see, China has different oats to fry or eat into different thing. It doesn't come into this area.
But that's a very
And
big.
Pakistan,
Yeah.
this pact doesn't affect China at all. In fact, if it goes anything, if China starts, it will go against China.
Right.
China's best bet is still cheap oil from Iran.
Right. Is it going through? Is the oil going through from
Yeah, it is all
Iran
going
to
through whenever it
China?
can. Even
Yeah.
Chinese want oil from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Okay. See, people don't understand. Let me explain this a little more. You would understand this. The Chinese are facing inflation.
Hmm.
Sorry, deflation. Deflation. Their consumer price index is going down, but their purchasers price index is going up, and their costs of inputs and everything has gone up in this war. So as a result, the input costs in China have gone up, but the output costs, income costs, or the income has not gone up. It has in fact gone down because there's
Right.
no expenditure. So they're getting squeezed.
Hmm.
And this is again, I'm speaking not from my own data. I'm speaking from data of Kexin, which is the
Right.
official economic portal of China. So they are in a mess actually. So they will
Yeah.
not come anywhere near this pact. They don't mind. They will not come here.
So, the West Asia is such a crucial arena for the Chinese. They source so much of their oil from here, and yet they're not present there. Why? How and why did they just decide to vacate this space?
They
They were
don't have
there.
the capability.
They don't have the capability to. So then, are they paper tigers? Then this is the question
Yes,
that
they
came.
are. Look, I've always maintained it. The days, you see, many people never believed me. Even now,
Yeah.
people think I'm an idiot when I talk like this, right? When 2020 Galwan happened,
Yeah.
I said they will vacate. You remember that I told you that
Yes.
day.
Yes. Of course.
You're the one
6 years.
who might say,
Yeah.
right? That this is, war avoidance, aggressive
Belligerent war avoidance.
war
That's what you called it.
avoidance. I
Yeah.
said that
Belligerent
then,
war avoidance.
war avoidance. And that has been their theme. People don't understand this. So they will never fight. And now it's out of question.
Yeah. So how then these are supposed to be the hallmarks of a great power, right? That you deploy forward, you send your forces, you move your navy, you do all of that, you make a diplomatic this thing. The Chinese have done nothing of this sort. Either it is that they don't consider this to be a theater of their, that's critical to them, or the fact is, like you said, is that they're paper tigers and they will not act, you know, uh,
It
because of
for them it is regime preservation.
right,
The CCP wants to preserve its power in China. Xi Jinping wants to preserve his power over the CCP. They will do nothing to upset this apple cart. Taking a stand for or against this pact upsets that apple cart.
right,
Okay, and the more problems, you see, today evening I'm going to do a show
yeah.
on, the Chinese decline. Is it going the Soviet way or is it going the Japanese way? And when you do this research, very interesting things have come out.
So when you say the Soviet way, that's a breakup and a collapse. When you're saying the Japanese way, it's a slow decline into irrelevance,
Yeah,
which is why the Japanese are doing what they're doing now with
what
the
they're doing. Yeah,
with their
and
defense
there are
posture.
indications of both.
Right,
There are indications of both in China. And I'll grant the Chinese system, they are not fools, they know where they are.
right,
And from
right.
where they are, you have to grant it because they have made money.
Yeah,
They've come to the level where they said one day we can overtake Chinese economy. It doesn't happen overnight.
yeah.
It happens with a lot of this thing, but
I overtake the American economy.
American economy.
Yeah.
So now they have done all this, so they know where they are today. They're not fools. So they will not come here. They will not come here. In fact, they will not lock horns with India also.
So then, where does this leave Taiwan? Because if you're looking at a very diffident China, then
Taiwan's in a pig's back.
yeah. So pig's back
It's
or
in a pig's
porcupine's
back.
back?
I have porcupine is back. So I mean I have no this thing. Where China is a see the threat China was to India in 2020 is different is a different threat we have today.
Today, 6 years
Today.
later.
But we can we'll talk of it some other day.
Yes, but that's a good way to round up this discussion. We started with the West Asia Accord in the Mecca Defence Agreement, and we moved on to China. So we've actually looked at both our immediate threats, Pakistan and China. And what you've actually said, China is a strategic competitor of India, and I think that's a strategic worry. Pakistan is the short-term tactical worry for us. I think we can handle Pakistan in 88 hours. I think that the Chinese will take a little longer than that. And from what you're saying, that would, add to our assessments of China in the post-Galwan scenario. And you think Xi Jinping is going to come to Delhi next month?
Well, he is on the horns of a dilemma.
Right.
If he comes to Delhi, he's got a chance to give a nice photo op for Mr. Trump. Okay, he's got it. And plus he's got the thing that he will be part of the BRICS, and he can, he can BRICS currency, alternate this, that, all those he can achieve. Right. If he doesn't come, this will be an India-dominated BRICS.
Right.
That's a danger, and BRICS is his hallmark foundation to get Sino-centric world order, global governance, and all that.
Right.
So
right.
is he going to break one of that?
Yeah.
It's like breaking your own arm.
Right.
So there's a problem. If he doesn't come, this is
a dilemma. Absolutely.
a dilemma. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if he doesn't come, it also gives an indication that he doesn't care about India. So if he doesn't care about India, why should India care about him? There are many angles to this.
Right.
Okay. Then the problem is he has not gone abroad in the past 1 year. The only place he's gone to is Korea recently.
Korea.
Before that, he has not gone abroad for almost a year.
Yeah.
And he's not left the mainland. In the past 1 year, the only places he's left the mainland China is once to Hong Kong and now to Korea. That's all. This will be a long trip he's taking. And he has to do this trip followed by a trip in September to USA also.
US, yeah.
Right? These are two huge political problems for him. If he might come out, and what if he can't go back? Don't rule it out.
That's the worry, right? All dictators. That you might get a call saying that your plane.
Thank you.
Your plane doesn't have clearance to land.
So there are issues. There are issues which for Xi Jinping to come and not come.
Right.
Both. But we'll see how it plays out. We'll discuss that, and we'll also discuss China one of these days in detail.
Certainly, we must. Given how critical they are for us. You want to take some questions now, Shankar? I mean, fascinating.
Yeah, we'll take. But I thought we could spend a few minutes on what our Prime Minister.
Oh yes, said. Of course. The PM's address at the Red Fort today. Big takeaways from that, as we discussed in the beginning.
Yeah, the big takeaway is this. Naxalism. Or
yes,
Prime
I remember.
Minister. Yeah. What I'm going to.
Right? 20 years back.
Yeah. Okay, what did our Prime Minister then say? Naxalism is the biggest threat to internal security.
Yes.
And let me put it this way: a lot of people, even in the right wing or the left wing, whichever wing you say, criticized Mr. Manmohan Singh for this.
Yeah.
Right? And he said this from the ramparts of the Red Fort. I still remember this, he said, in his own way, in a simplistic way. And I'm going to show you a clip which is today's and what our Prime Minister said.
वर्षों तक देश की सत्ता में माओवादी सोच के लोग गलियारों में अपनी जगह बना करके बैठे थे। सरकारी कमेटियों में सलाहकार के रूप में भी ये माओवादी सोच ने नीतियों को प्रभावित किया था। मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, जंगलों में हमें हथियारी नक्सलों का खात्मा बुलाने में, उस संकट से देश को मुक्त कराने में सफलता मिली है। लेकिन हथियारी नक्सल तो गए, लेकिन दिमागी नक्सल, ये दिमागी नक्सल मौके की तलाश में है, हिंसा अराजकता के वो रास्ते खोज रहे हैं, समाज को गलत राह पर घसीटने के लिए भांति भांति के दांव कर रहे हैं। इन दिमागी नक्सलियों को पहचानना होगा, इन दिमागी नक्सलियों को आइसोलेट करना होगा और राष्ट्र को विकसित राष्ट्र बनाने की मुख्य धारा की ओर देश की युवा पीढ़ी को जोड़ना होगा। मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, सुरक्षित भारत बनाना हम सबका दायित्व है। चुनौती सीमा के भीतर हो या सरहद से बाहर, भारत हर परिस्थिति के लिए तैयार है।
So he very clearly said. So I mean, I want your comments. What do you? Is there any
No,
difference what Mr.
very,
Manmohan
very,
Singh?
very significant. But I'll slightly differ from what Manmohan Singh said at that time, because that's 2 decades ago. Um, the Maoists had a red corridor. Literally, they had controlled large swaths of territory. I mean, literally over 100+ districts were under their control. They were looking at a red corridor from Andhra Pradesh. Then it was Andhra Pradesh, right up to Nepal, where they could move men, material, cadres, all of that, and they had, they were holding liberated zones. They had vast liberated zones. They were operating from the Dandakaranya forests and all that. They were a serious threat to internal security. And as you know, you were in service then, sir. You would be part of these discussions. That the army was specifically asked to deploy in central India to fight the Maoists. And they refused. I think it was General J.J. Singh at that time.
No, VK Singh, General VK Singh.
General VK, who followed General J.J., I think 2 chiefs after, who said that there's no way we're going to deploy to fight this because, and I got a very detailed explanation from one of the generals then, who said that, there is something called a heartland threat and there is a rimland threat. So the army should never be deployed to fight heartland threats, because that will mean you're moving away from the borders, peripheries. This is the kind of threats that we have been facing with the Nagas and with J&K and Punjab. It's all been the rimland threats. We are good, we are deployed over there. We can't fight this kind of thing. So that led the government to then basically create the CRPF and the BSF and, expand their numbers in very large. Today, the paramilitary forces, the CAPFs, Central Armed Paramilitary Police Forces, are over 1 million strong. So they fought very slowly and, over the last 2 decades, and they have actually brought this threat down. But I think what the Prime Minister is talking about today is that the so-called urban Naxals, the people who are talking about, the Break India ideologies and stuff like that, he's talking more about that. So at that point, you had an armed threat of secession.
Yeah. But look, he also, our Prime Minister today also said we finished that.
Yeah, we finished the Jangli Maoists.
The
military threat has been there.
Yeah. And he's also, even 12 years of this government also has done that.
Yeah,
and
it has. No doubt
it
about
has.
it.
No doubt about it. It's a continuation. Yeah. It's a continuum. Okay, right from then 2006
20
to
years,
now.
more than 20 years that we've been fighting it. Yeah.
Okay. But what's important is this threat has morphed.
Yeah.
The thing what today our Prime Minister says is, look, the threat has morphed.
Yeah.
It has gone from rural insurgency to a urban Naxalism.
Urban Naxalism, where he says that the Soch, Naxali
Soch.
Dimagi
Soch.
Yeah. Dimagi Soch, the Dimagi Naxal.
So
people
I think, so I think that is very relevant what our Prime Minister said. And it just proves that, look, it doesn't matter whether you're from a Congress government, UPA, NDA, BJP, and you see this whole thing going. The fundamentals of the threat have not changed.
Right.
The shape and size of the threat might have changed, but the fundamentality of this, assessed by 2 successive prime ministers, is not a joke. And that came out to me as the most important part of today's talk.
Yes.
And where I find very probably a bit disappointing as a political character is that you find the main political parties are still harping on each other as being the threat rather than the threat being addressed.
Right.
The threat is somewhere else. The political polarization is inhibiting our country to address this threat, which has been in existence now for over 2 decades. And I think that's the bigger problem. I'm not when this happened, I was a div commander, and I just taken over the division, and I still remember my co-commander and my chief of staff say, Shankar, you're just taking over the division. You know how to handle these things. Be prepared to take your division into this area. That part of the preparation. Of course, 15 days later, General VK Singh had come to Pune and he told very clearly, he said, I've told the government I'm not entering this for reasons you said,
Yeah.
Rimland, Heartland. If there's a problem in the Heartland, we'll help train
Yeah.
CAPFs and all, but we will not this thing. And but the fact is, this problem is live, still in a different form, and it has to be tackled today politically. And I don't see consensus of acting against them politically. That's my worry. Your views?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think when how do you handle them politically? One is, of course, to get the narrative right, the narrative of the India story against the narrative that they are building up. Uh, I think it's an ideological battle as well.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people said when I was covering the Maoist insurgency and was speaking to a lot of people, there were a lot of myths about this where they said that tribals are dispossessed and they are being exploited, and that's why the Maoists have come up. And so you don't get the fundamental nature of the problem. It is an ideology. Maoism is not about going and helping the poor and all that. It's an ideology that looks for foot soldiers. And in this case, it was the tribals, it was the peasants, and all communist insurrections, all Maoist insurrections have been in places which were tribals, which had farmers, those kind of. They're all rural insurgencies. That's how they began, and then they moved towards the cities, which is what, if you read the Maoist literature, they're very clear. I think they were looking at overthrowing the government by, I think, the 2040s or the 50s or something. I've read their revolutionary literature and all. So this was always an ideology. It was a battle of ideology, and it was about overthrowing the legitimately elected democracy, which they didn't believe in, and imposing Maoist-driven ideological state like communist China, where the party would take over violently, overthrow the. So I think it's a matter of countering this violent ideology through a narrative, and I think that's why we come back to this whole thing of our weakest point so far that I've seen is that kinetically we are super strong, right? We saw that during Op Sindhu, whether it's the use of artillery or BrahMos or the Air Force, we are very good at what we do. But narrative-wise, I think that is where our weakness is. That the India story, like we have an American story, there's an American dream, there's an American story, there's a Chinese story, but somehow that India story is not coming out very strongly. And the Prime Minister has, of course, made this thing today. He's made that pitch. It's about development, it's about aspirational India, and he addressed the youth and stuff like that. But somewhere we need to reinforce this thing because, like I said, it's an ideological battle. Urban Naxals, the Dimagi Naxals and all that will use fissures in your society to push in their ideology, and I think the only way we can do it is by delivering on the ground, and B, by countering this with our own narrative, strong, progressive, prosperous India.
yeah, I completely agree with you, and we'll discuss this. We'll discuss this
Yes.
as we go along because there are other facets of Prime Minister's talk today, which we'll take it as a separate thing as to what can be achieved, not achieved, and all that. But I thought this was a very important thing, and this is an issue which we will confront as we go along, societally, as well as in other issues. With this, can I take a few questions? If
Yes,
you
absolutely.
Okay. Sumit Pandey, thanks a lot for becoming a YouTube member. Ashish, also thanks for your contribution. Sumit here again, contribution. Thank you. Krishna Reddy, thanks a lot for and happy Independence Day to all of you. Right. Mallika Bajaj, please get Mallika Bajaj, social media digital content expert on your
Digital
show.
colonization
Or
is happening.
people,
Yeah.
kids need education and how digital colonization is happening. Hmm. we'll try and get, because we'll see how it works. I really don't know who Malika Bajaj is. Do you know her? I have no.
I don't.
Okay, anyway, Chavan, let me see how we can do it. Then, of course, Happy Independence Day, Praval, thanks a lot, and Ashish, thanks a lot again. I picked up a few questions. Okay, whether India doesn't have enough competent youths in IIMs, IITs, IIS, CAs, should Indian Gen Z led by failed, unemployed, anti-national druggies? Yeah, that's the point. This is an interesting thing. Yeah, your views on this?
No, I think it's the Jantar Mantar does not represent the youth of India or the Gen Z of India. It's a small little, very loud, vocal, voluble set, and they don't by any means represent the vast majority of India. They're just the loudest, and some of them are the most uncouth of the lot. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Look, I have a lot of interaction with Gen Z because I am in
You're an
IIT,
IIT
and
Madras. Of course, you're a
yeah,
professor there.
I talk and interact with a lot of bright young guys from these things, and I have my own students who are spread all over the world. Let me tell you, the Gen Z who are vocal about all these are not the real Gen Z. They're
Yeah,
actually the dropouts and the useless guys. The- I'm not joking. The
yeah,
guys who real Gen Z with real aspirations are going elsewhere.
yeah.
So, because I see some of these guys, some of these people who have problems with society, who have problems with the being anti-societal, have these aspirations. I see some of them active in our campus also. I've seen it. Okay, I've seen it happen at close quarters. So it's there, but I think we need to have a different approach to this whole story. We need to have Gen Zs coming into mainstream issues,
Right.
mainstream societal issues. Uh, the thing which I took from this entire Pradarshan at Jantar Mantar
Yeah.
is that our Gen Zs need a mainstreaming. The
Hmm.
true Gen Zs need a mainstreaming. And this is something to make them societally aware and politically, a little more active than they are. And because they are the ones who are pulling up India,
Yeah.
they are the ones who have to pull up India, the best and the brightest.
Yeah.
Right? The worst of the lot, who are these cockroaches, are the ones who are going to pull India back.
Hmm.
So, how we empower all these people to talk is, or the, challenge going ahead. That's my view, right? Okay. He says, don't generalize Gen Z, bro. I'm a Gen Z myself, and here I am. I'm glad that there's a Gen Z listening to us. Your
Right.
view on that,
No, no,
right?
it's good.
It's
Exactly
good.
what we've been saying. We're not
Yeah.
generalizing.
Yeah, we
We are
don't.
saying that
And
that's not. They're not representative of the true Gen Z. The true Gen Zs are doing stuff in life.
yeah, and they have an aim in life. They have
Yeah.
studied, they're intelligent, and they're evolving. And just like the previous, 70 years, I won't say 70, 50 years back, I was also a Gen Z,
Yeah.
right? And today I'm the elderly person. At that time, we shaped India the way we did without even understanding that concept of what it is. But today, these people are more brighter and they have more, they're, more communicative, and there is communication. The world is different from what it was half a century back. We have to give it to them. That's about it. That's the way I look at it. Okay, how Pakka is the Mecca pact, even though Houthis could tear it apart?
It's
Yeah,
not pakka at all.
it's
It's
not Pakka at all.
none for one, and what is the line that you used again? I
All for
just
none and none for all.
all for none and none for all.
Yeah. Then a weakened Pakistan fails the purpose for which it was created in a post colonial world. It has time and again proved it cannot stand against India, and now standing as a proven failed and weak nation. Your views about this?
Well, the creation of Pakistan was meant to be. It was meant to be an imperial instrument, as my former editor MJ Akbar has said that in a podcast very recently, where he said that India is independent and it is free. Pakistan is independent, but it does not have freedom. So that's the difference. It is if you sell your freedom, then you get into all of these things. You'll have to get into these pacts, and then you have to be useful for all these other countries. You have to do their bidding. You're a mercenary state. You're a rentier state. That's the thing. And these guys will never allow Pakistan to collapse. That's also that's a fact.
So, the net result is that this is a state which will trouble us.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, it will trouble
That's
us. And this pact will trouble us.
Hmm.
We need to understand how to handle this whole thing. Because
Nuisance.
trouble will come.
Nuisance.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Superpower USA couldn't defend Pakistan in 1971, and they think this pact will save them. It will not. Yeah. So let's take the other question. A pact is formed to counter a common enemy, but in this case, no common enemy, and they say the pact was not formed for this reason. Absolutely absurd. Your view?
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what we discussed today. No common enemy here.
Yeah, the trophy chore will now become a chadar chore and deg chore thanks to the Nazrana app. Yeah.
Yeah. So watch it very carefully.
From strategic depth doctrine, Pakistan has turned to strategic theft with characters like Naqvi. So there is yet another facet.
But Naqvi is General Shankar, Naqvi is a Shia, right? And it would be an extraordinary leap of faith for Asim Munir to appoint a Shia prime minister.
So that brings into question Asim Munir's own faith, isn't it?
Right. He's not Shia, right? He's Sunni.
He तो वो Hafiz है ना?
Hafiz, yeah, that's right.
Hafiz है. So Hafiz है Quran. So there are a lot of dichotomies which are yet to be played out. We'll see how it goes. Balancing is a game multiple countries play. India will also take countermeasures. Also, please note that combined GDPs of Pakistan and Turkey is only a fraction of India's. So, how do you look at this?
Let's not get into the GDP game and all that. What is Iran's GDP for that matter? I don't know if the Houthis even have a GDP, but they are a source of trouble and they're a source of great worry to the countries around it. And I think that's how we should look at it. Their potential to create mischief and create trouble is what we should be factoring in. And
look, there's another counter effect which might happen, and which has probably happened already, and it will solidify without being a pact. And that is the triangle of Israel, UAE, and India.
India, absolutely. I to you.
So this might, upset this. That is something which we have not spoken of, but towards the end, I want to put across. All three of these countries are economically strong. Yeah. They are independent. They have great leverages, and technologically, they are far ahead of the others. So this pact, if I were in this pact, I would be worried actually.
Right. I to you is a story that we should discuss.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Right.
The opposite reaction of this pact will be this other pact.
I to you.
I to you too. You too, nahi. I to you. Two is the hidden part of the story. Hidden part of the story.
Right.
Okay. Then Kart says, thanks a lot for your contribution. And I think we've done for the day with the... So...
Great. Thank you very much.
No, wait. I want you to see this. This from... I'm from Turkey, but my lowest country is China. Of course, I love my country too, but China is special for me. So, very nice, right? So, that's what I thought I'll put across. Your final views on what we have discussed, and then we'll close it.
Well, fascinating discussion as always, General Shankar. And what a day to discuss it. 15th of August, 80th India's 80th Independence Day, and I think we are looking at the closest strategic geopolitical shift in the last couple of days. The the Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan mutual defense pact in Mecca, and we've of course gone beyond just that. We looked at other factors affecting India, which is China, and the hidden ace, of course, is the I2U, UAE, Israel, and India, which we'll talk about. We've been discussing that actually in previous installments. And thank you for making sense of this. We'll be back very soon, next Wednesday, Jan Shankar, to talk about more developments. And until then, thank you very much, viewers, for watching us, listening to us, coming back every Saturday morning to discuss this, to watch us discuss the burning geopolitical issues of the day. And this is a joint podcast between Gunners Short and Chakra News, and I would urge all of you to like, share, subscribe to both these channels. You get the kind of debate, discussion that you don't get anywhere else. With that, thank you very much. Once again, happy Independence Day to all of you there. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.
And Jai Bharat. Thank you.